Thank you for joining us. Our special program today is with the Consul General of Israel to the Midwest, Mr. Roey Gilad. He has served in various positions outside of Israel, including in the United Kingdom, Jordan, and Kenya. And he will share his thoughts on the challenges Israel is continuously subjected to, unfortunately, following these messages. With us now is Consul General Roey Gilad. It's a pleasure and privilege to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you, Richard.
Please tell our audience about the challenges facing Israel diplomacy in this part of the world.
Well, I'll put it this way. I've been to more challenging places for Israeli democracy. My career took me to Africa. My career took me to the Middle East. My career took me to Europe. In the Midwest, we are covering 11 states. It's not only Illinois, it's not only Chicago. I'd say Midwest is basically quite friendly to Israel. Jewish Midwest and non-Jewish Midwest. Well, definitely the Jewish community. I think we have 300,000 Jewish people in Chicago. We have 60,000 people in Detroit, Jewish people. We have a big number of Jewish people in St. Louis, in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul. But not only the Jewish community is friendly towards Israel, also the non-Jewish community. And believe it or not, there are some non-Jewish people in the Midwest. If you're talking about Christian communities, evangelical, Catholic, you name it, even Muslim people that I meet every now and then, I think they are more understandable. So we do have some challenges. I think two of our main challenges is campuses, universities, and the young members of our own community, of the Jewish community. So those are two kind of challenges that I'm facing, but which I'll be happy to speak more about it if you want later on, Richard. But to answer your question, at the bottom line, the Midwest, the Jewish and the non-Jewish Midwest is basically very friendly towards the state of Israel.
It's interesting that you point out these challenges, and especially those on campus. I think it's tragic that it is maybe a symptom of too tolerant a society in which universities allow propaganda to be perpetrated and people to be brainwashed and given lies by omission. Tell us a little bit more about your views on the negatives that Jewish students and others are subjected to on campus.
I have 25 years of experience in diplomacy. I've seen universities in the Middle East. I've seen universities in Europe. Basically, the situation here is not so bad. I mean, it is challenging. In some universities it's worse, some universities less. But personally, I've seen worse and I've seen much worse. Having said that, I don't think we have to turn a blind eye from different challenges that we have. And I must tell you, I think that as long as the other side is willing to get into a dialogue, I'm willing to give answers. Sorry, that's part of my job. I think I'm in a good position to explain things that Israel is doing. Some of them, some people are asking serious questions, and I think I'm there to give serious answers. The problem is that all too often you come vis-a-vis people that they bash Israel, they criticize Israel, and they're not willing to listen. The main problem, I think, that people, mainly those who criticize Israel, they lack knowledge about Israel. I think all this digital media thing made books redundant. And people do not read. People don't know. Everybody has his own narrative. But look, that can not be ignored. or denied that 66 years ago, when the State of Israel was established, the state was established against a war, not against a vote. Indeed, the UN voted to establish the Jewish state, actually two states, but the other side have launched a war against Israel, and the other side was against the partition plan. That cannot be denied. And the same thing happened in 1967, and the same thing happened in 1973. So if eventually there will be a peace, and I believe that there will be a peace, there are some facts on the ground that cannot be ignored. So I believe in a compromise. I believe we need to reach out. But at the same time, I say the fact that we are willing to compromise doesn't mean that we compromise our truth. And there was only one truth. The truth is that 66 years ago, this is the Day of Independence now, the UN, the international community, decided to establish two states, an Arab state and a Jewish state, and the Arabs decided against the Jewish state, and they tried to demolish the Jewish state. And the fact that we are here speaking today, Richard, is only because we won the war. The rest is history. Israel is seeking a solution. Israel is seeking a two-nation-state solution. And whenever I go to campus to speak with students in different universities, this is what I tell them. We are very proud of what we achieved. Had we not been adamant, had we not been serious, we wouldn't be sitting here today speaking with you or speaking at the campus. We are there because we won so many wars. We don't want any more wars in the future. We think enough is enough. That's the time for peace. And that's basically the message that I take with me to every place I go, but also to universities. Sometimes I have audience. Sometimes the other side, they turn their back. I can only do my best, but if the other side is not willing to listen, then it's too bad.
Well, sir, your position is very commendable, of course. Unfortunately, critics of Israel and the other side don't share your views, and as you've stated, there are so many people out there who really would like to see Israel destroyed, and whatever concessions Israel makes seem to be futile. And there's another question I'd like to ask you, that is, why does mass media tend to single Israel out for criticism while ignoring crimes elsewhere and presenting the world with half-truths? Would you regard the bias against Israel as a form of anti-Semitism?
I think Israel should have the right, the same human rights and moral level like the West. We considered ourselves to be a Western democracy. Actually, our record, if you compare it to other Western democracy, is on the same level. I don't think our human rights record is worse than the United States. I don't think it is worse than the UK. I don't think it is worse than Germany, France, you name it. It is 10 times better than the human rights record of all the 21 Arab states. But I don't want people to compare me to Arab states. In that sense, yes, I'm for a double standard, because I think the standard of Israel is 10 times higher than the standard of Arab states, and I lived in an Arab state, never mind which one. But I don't want Israel to be considered as an Arab state. We aim much higher. On the other hand, I don't know any other democracy in the West that has faced so many challenges in the last 66 years, day in and day out, for its own security, for its own well-being, for its own future, for its own survival. And I say, when you come to judge Israeli activity, bear in mind that Israel is not a regular place. We spoke at the beginning about the Midwest. So Israel is the Mideast. Israel is located 6,000 miles east of here. I hope east is there. I think it is. We work in a different geopolitical environment, and we are facing different challenges. I watched the news today in the morning, this morning at the CNN, but it makes no difference. I looked and I said, that's amazing. None of the items they spoke about would have been discussed in the Israeli TV. You know, for an Israeli, when you watch here the news, all too often you say, that's unbelievable. And I'm not judgmental. Judgmental is bad for diplomats, but when I watch here the news, this is when I realize that the challenges that America, let's take America for an example, is facing is completely different than the challenges that Israel is facing. Israel is facing existential challenges, America is not. So whenever people are coming to criticize Israel, I tell them, bear that in mind. Israel is a strong Western democracy, and yet this democracy is facing a completely different set of challenges than the West faces today.
On one hand, we've been discussing the challenges, the negatives Israel is subjected to, but another very incredible fact is that Israel is in the forefront of technology and achievement, whether it's producing oranges and drip irrigation to high tech today. Share this with our audience.
In that sense, I think Israel is not less than a miracle. Israel has actually managed to produce not only brilliant innovation, as we speak now, we have the Israeli Second Jazz Festival in Chicago. Israel has produced great art, great culture, great achievements in music and literature and cinema. As you mentioned, Richard, the high-tech innovation. When we started 66 years ago, we had great achievements in agriculture. Now, that has to be said that agriculture is not so strong in Israel as it used to be in the past. So we moved from agriculture into biotech and nowadays into high-tech. I think our achievements are amazing in any standard, let alone when you're talking about a state that 25% of its national budget goes to security, which is unheard of in the West. I think that's even more amazing. Israel actually invests the biggest part of its GDP in R&D, in research and development. We invest 4% of the Israeli GDP, not the budget, of GDP in R&D. This is government money and private money. Government money usually is through the chief scientist, and private money usually through venture capital and things like that. There is no other state in the world that invests 4% of its GDP in R&D. I think there is something in the Israeli state of mind. Even this cell phone of yours is leaning on Israeli high-tech, if we're talking about it.
Let me toss this.
Well, after you throw it, I'm not sure it will be as good as it was. But talking about your cell phone, talking about the computer, all those are leaning on Israeli high-tech. I think there is something in the Israeli DNA, in the Israeli kind of state of mind, which is very R&D friendly. People are willing to take risks. People don't like to sit still in their chairs. They like to move around. I think the government and also the business community identified this trend at the very early beginning and supported it by giving loans. Look, at any given moment, Richard, there is about 5,000 startups in Israel, 5,000. Not all of them will succeed, that has to be said. Only few will succeed. Nevertheless, even those who do not succeed, they support this very special Israeli ecosystem. And this is, the Israeli startup is only one side. There is another side of this ecosystem, which is American companies like Intel, like many others, not only in the field of high-tech, also GM and others, that open R&D centers in Israel because they know that there is a strong, Israeli strong source for R&D. So Intel has a huge place in Kiryat Gat, which is in the south. Motorola, which is here in Illinois, has also R&D center. Facebook, you name it. So between American companies who open R&D centers in Israel and Israeli startups, we have a strong, solid ecosystem that should be counted as a very serious one, let alone the challenges that we are facing. And if you bring into the account all the challenges then we are facing, so I don't have any other word to describe it other than a miracle.
How interesting it is that if Israel's neighbors would recognize its right to exist and there'd be cooperation, the entire Middle East could flourish. But yet cynics And people who disagree with such optimistic thoughts say that Islam really is bent on promoting itself into Europe, even the United States, and has no interest in making peace in the future.
Look, Richard, I spend, first of all my academic studies. I learned about the Middle East. I speak Arabic. I learned about the Islam, the history of Islam, history of the Middle East. I worked 4 years in an Arab state, in an Arab country, which was really a very interesting and challenging. I'm not being afraid or intimidated by Arab or Muslim people. I tend to like them. I understand their language. At the same time, I'm not naive. I think that eventually there will be peace, but I do not expect this peace to be very warm. I think this peace will not lean on love, or affection, but will lean on the understanding of the other side that they cannot get rid of Israel, that they will have to lean on to live with Israel. This peace is going to lean on deterrence. Had we been weak, there would have been no peace. But we are not weak. And the states who signed peace agreement with Israel by now, in one of them I worked as an Israeli diplomat, did it basically because they understood that Israel is strong, Israel is there to stay. Israel is not going anywhere. And the relationship we have with those states are decent, but they are basic. And I don't think we should aim for more. Maybe we should aim for more. I'm not sure we're going to achieve more. So in the long run, I believe that eventually there will be peace between Israel and the Palestinians that will be followed with peace relationship with the rest of the Arab state and then with the rest of the Muslim world. But again, this, at least I don't know about relationship with the Muslim world. I think with Indonesia, Malaysia, other Muslim states, we can reach a very decent, deep and warm relationship. As for the Arab world, I think there is only that much that we can achieve, but I think we can achieve peace agreements that will be followed by peaceful relationships that will be kind of lukewarm, not very warm, unfortunately. But you know what? For us, I think that should be now.
Well, all we can do is hope for the very best, and for everyone in the world, and of course in Israel.
And thank you very much for hosting me.
I want to thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Richard.
A real pleasure. I'll be right back.
אז תפרוס כנפה, חזקה החתמה, וצא לקבלה, בשיר ותפילה, את שבת הקלה. מנם שבת מלכה, משמרום תרתי זוהרת, והאל יפרוס ברכה, לאומה לי בחרת. לכן אני אשא ונפשי תפעם, ראי שמחת ליבי בשמחת עולם. שבי מנועת הזקה, מזמורים לך נשיר, זיו כבודך יזהיר. מנם שבת מלכה, משמרום תרתי זוהרת, והאל יפרוס ברכה, לאומה לי בחרת. לילה לה 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 לה, לילה לה 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 לה, לילה לה 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 לה, לילה לה 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 לה.
Professor Alon Wolf's research in his biorobotics and biomechanics lab models the genius of nature. This snake robot can bring us to life-saving locations, such as the narrow arteries of the body or the perilous depths of disaster sites.
Here at the Biorobotics and Biomechanics Lab, we created a robotic environment where you can play a game for your rehabilitation. We record how you're moving and we adapt the game to your individual needs so that the game changes as you improve. I think that Technion is a really great place to do research because there's a focus on making research that's useful, that'll actually provide benefit to the world.
Rework enables a person that is completely paralyzed waist down and completely confined to wheelchair to walk. It shifts a person from a wheelchair user status to a crutch user status. One more thing about developing the device, everything actually was based on the basic education that I got from the Technion, which is priceless.
Founded by Technion graduates, Insight Tech delivers the operating room of the future, non-invasive surgery and treatment with focused ultrasound.
The technology allows us to treat almost any tumor inside the body. We are treating central nervous system diseases like Parkinson, like essential tremor. We'll definitely look as a next step on brain tumors.
Technion professors Musa Yudim and John Finberg partnered together with Teva Pharmaceuticals to create Azilect, an advanced medicine to slow the progression of Parkinson's disease, providing relief to millions of patients around the world. In award-winning Technion professor Moshe Shoham's laboratory, researchers discovered a way to combine advanced image processing with pioneering miniature robots. Renaissance, the integrated system, is now used in surgery worldwide. Since Technion scientist Professor Joseph Itzkovitz Eldor co-authored the 1998 paper unveiling the infinite possibilities of stem cell technology, Technion scientists have become leaders in stem cell research.
With the sheer speed of stem cell science and technology, I do think that in the future we will be able to use stem cells for the treatment of many diseases, from cancer and Parkinson's disease to heart failure.
Engineers Without Borders at the Technion is a volunteer engineering group. We've worked in the Negev Desert here in Israel, in Bedouin communities. We've done some wonderful work in Nepal where we've developed a biogas reactor. The idea is that our students, together with faculty, develop appropriate engineering and sustainable engineering solutions to problems that we have assessed in developing communities.
Professors do believe that there is a petroleum offshore of Israel. We established the only program in Israel that prepares the engineer to work. Literally, how to work on a rig. Israel can be independent energetically, which is a national task.
For over 100 years, Technion, Israel Institute of Technology, is the place whose people, innovative research, ideas, and inventions make immeasurable contributions to mankind, enhancing the world now and securing your future.
This brings us to the end of our special program for today. From on location at the Doubletree Hilton in Skokie, Illinois, I'm Richard Peritz. Thank you for being with us.